This is the Blank Dive Show. For creators who don't wait for clarity, they move anyway. This isn't about perfection. It's pressure, doubt, deadlines, and building something real with limited resources. It's about momentum when motivation runs out, mindset when the noise gets loud, and making the work, especially when it's uncomfortable. Through raw conversations with filmmakers, writers, musicians, artists, and curators, we talk about showing up, breaking barriers, and turning ideas into action. This is the dive into the unknown, no permission, no safety net, just the work.
Yeah, people.
What is up?
What's good, y'all?
Episode 4. We are excited.
Let's go.
4 for 4.
So now we're here, and we really want to dive deep into something more. Okay, I know the last episode, kind of a Debbie Downer. There was blocks in the road. But this is the episode that we want to talk about all those projects we have limited resources that we have to achieve. They're on our bucket list. You guys feel me?
Absolutely.
You know what I'm talking about here?
For
to
sure.
jump into this topic, this is something really personal to me, okay? For so long, you know, I have these really ambitious ideas of what I want to do, what kind of films I want to make, what kind of big projects, what festivals I want to do. But a lot of times, these are things that I have such limited resources to do.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times that I've been diving into a project and I realize I don't have the money for that.
Never do, right?
I don't have the team to make this possible.
Yeah.
And that is one of the biggest struggles I face. But the thing that you really got to hone, I think, as any artist, is you got to figure out a way to make your dream possible and make, you know, either you make it a realistic vision or you work with what you have, the people
Absolutely.
you know and the resources you have. And that is one of the things I'm still working on to this day. I can't tell you how many times I filmed a project in my house. I've actually had an editor tell me in the last movie, she goes, you know, you have a very cute place, but I'm going to tell you this right now. Stop using your kitchen. It's too. I know every movie your kitchen is in use in some scene, one or another.
Switch the room.
You have a friend that can lend you a kitchen. I'm like, I think I got a few friends. Like, yeah, use their kitchen next time. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. It's like, you know, don't let the project hold you back, but just, you know, try to use your connections as resources. And I don't know, I'm sure you guys can relate to this.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Benny. Go ahead. I know you got something.
Yeah, of course. I wrote one of my first scripts. It was probably my second, but my first one that I wanted to put out. I thought I had everything prepared for it and stuff like that. And then COVID hit, which should have been a sign. And then people started dropping out for different reasons, and then I was like, I don't think I'm gonna make this. Also, I didn't do the casting right, but at the end of it, I felt self-accomplished because I finished writing something, which was awesome. And then also I took it as a learning experience to be like, oh, so this is what goes into creating a movie. It's not you just write a script and then people come running all the time. It's you gotta do all the things necessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what in that process, when you were doing it, like you were thinking, like when you were trying to get everything organized, what was going through your mind of how can I get this accomplished? Like,
how can I get this accomplished? I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know. I was just like really excited. I finished it, and then I was like, all right, let's put out the character list. Let's put this out, and then everything kept rushing, and some things were working, some things weren't. And then I was like, oh, okay, I don't think I'm doing it completely right.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those like bumps in the road, and just like we talked about in the last episode, that, you know, sometimes it's a learning experience, but other times too, like, I'm sure, like, if you had everything laid out, I guess the people around you were all willing to work, because you said you dealt with a challenging time with COVID.
Yes.
So, like, I could tell you from filming, I did a short film during COVID, and with all the rules and regulations, and just the way people were acting, like, people, like, they wanted everybody's, like, records at that time. Like, oh, if I join your project, I need to see, you know, if no one has COVID and they're all going to sign the attestation and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I'm just trying to make a movie. I'm like, you're not trying to open up a clinic here. It was a challenging time. People wanted to know, like, you know, I love a few people, and a few people got under my damn skin. I'm like, damn, dude, I'm not running the clinic. I'm sorry.
What's your time of birth?
Yeah, like, and I had that. Like, listen, it's like a really funny thing, but in the last film, I knew an actress wouldn't work out because there was a driving sequence in the film, and she was like, that's fine, but I just have a question. Am I going to be able to see the driving record of all those who are going to be behind the wheel? I've never been asked that before.
Yeah.
But yeah, things get a slippery slope. So, like, when you're doing a movie with limited resources, chances are we're in someone in the casting crew's vehicle. You know, this wasn't a rented vehicle for the day, and the stunt driver in a low independent film is probably one of the actors. So let's just cross our fingers and hope that everybody is as safe as they can be.
Yeah.
Sure.
I remember, like, I remember when I was locked up. I was 27 months locked up in jail. And this was way back, you know, locked up in juvie, maximum security. And I started really diving into music. I always loved music. Come on. Yo, I always loved music, man. And I'll tell you, I always have, man, since as far as I can remember. And, you know, I got locked up, and, you know, there's a lot of downtime when you're locked up. And I started writing, you know, and that's all you could really do. You read the Bible, you write, you eat, you get chunky, and that's pretty much it. Or you work out, whatever you want to do. But I remember, like, the closer it got to me getting out, my mindset was, I got to do something different. And the one way that I realized, you know, I kind of, you know, knew that to get better and to get recognized is when I get out, I got to start pushing my music. You know, I got to start putting these lyrics down on beats, getting them out there. So I remember I used to go to, like, all the local bars that did, you know, karaoke nights, and I used to go to the nightclubs, and I used to kind of touch base with all these different people as soon as I got out. But I was also homeless at the time. So it's like I literally had, like, nothing to work with. But my one buddy had a computer. We used to use Hip Hop EJ. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. Charlie, you probably had back then. But Hip Hop EJ, it's a recording. You know, we used to record our music on it. But I used to, you know, record my lyrics on it. And we used to put the beats on. And I used to go around the neighborhood selling my CDs. And, you know, to make a couple bucks, to get into these places. And, you know, it took a while. But, like, in my mind, I had to accomplish, when I got out, I had to accomplish something towards, you know, my music, because that's what I wanted to do. You know what I mean? I wanted to be an artist. And the only way to do that is to build up a fan base, you know, to build up people that listen to you. And I just started doing that, man, because honestly, I love music. So I was like, why not, you know, instead of getting back into, you know, crimes and everything else, start doing something I love to do, you know, and using my art as an expression, you know what I mean? And pumping my music out there. But I always looked at it as almost that bucket list, those little goals I had to set, because if you just got out and started handing people CDs, they're not going to know anything about you. Most likely they're going to toss them. But if you kind of introduce yourself, you know, and that's what I kind of realized. I started introducing myself to these, you know, events, these little venues that they used to do. And I used to get myself into them and perform in front of these people to build up this little base of people. And it's just kind of something, you know, that I realized, you know, just in my own career, using very little to achieve these things that have to be done in any kind of art you're doing. You know, you got to get out there, and to use basically no resources. I didn't have any really resources in creating resources, you know, with these places and these people.
Yeah. It's got to be interesting, though, because you know, when you were making music, I hate to, you know, age you a little bit, you know, just a little bit. You know, I don't want to do that. But I just got to, because you were in a time where we didn't have this like nowadays there's applications on your phone where you can record a song on your phone. I mean, half the SoundCloud artists, their shit sounds like it was recorded on the toilet. I mean, I don't even know. It's real bad. But I'm saying, like, you can record on your phone now, or you could just get a thing for your computer and go. But back then it was different.
No, so, it was real different.
What did you do to record back then to put your stuff out there? Because you're saying like your buddy had a computer. Did you just record with him, or how did you get your music out there?
I actually began, I used to house jump, I hadn't had a home back then, and my buddy Greg, he gave me these components, like stereo components, and I stackables, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. Stereo components with tape decks. And it's got a mic plug in, and I went and got a little mixer board and I connected I became a technician out of nowhere. You know what I mean? I did, because I had to learn how to do it. You know what I mean? I had to figure out how to do these things. If I wanted to create music, I had to figure out how am I going to build something out of nothing. And literally I was getting pieces. My buddy would give me something, the Goodwill. I'd go and look at the Goodwill to see if they would have it. Microphones. I picked up a mixer, and I put all this stuff together. I started recording with tapes. You remember with the tapes. I remember that back then with the tapes, and I did everything with all VHS tapes back then, and started handing out, it was tapes first. You're right. And then it turned to the CDs. It went digital then.
The whole evolution, really.
It was wild.
It's an interesting thing, because like I said, with the resources, sometimes you have to be your own best resource.
Like, for sure.
You can't, like, you're talking about homelessness. You can't afford to
eat
pay for a team.
No, I was stealing food out the stores, man. I couldn't eat at the time. There's no joke.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, if you couldn't do that, how could you possibly pay for an engineer to mix your music?
Exactly.
You have to learn those skills. And I feel like a lot of people now, because things are so attainable, you're seeing a lot more independent artists come out that like mix their own stuff.
It's a good lucky generation, to have that, really.
But it's luck, but it's also a scary thing. I don't know what you guys feel about this, but think about all there's extra fish in the sea now, and it almost overfloods because there's a whole filtering process that necessarily isn't happening. But back then there was so much, like, for example, you put out an album, I feel like so many more listening ears would hear it because they could. But I mean, digitally you could push your art further, but now there's a million more people that have access to be able to push their work out there that didn't have it before. You know? It's tough.
I kind of look at it as, and I'll make it short, but I kind of look at it even right now as, and it's true what you said, it's a giant market of people now. But I always look at the amount of people, you know what I mean, that are on the planet. We got 8 billion something to utilize. So I think that there's enough to go around. You know what I mean? There really is. As long as you can get your market of people, the people that'll love you, you know what I mean? The people that'll support you. And I think there's so much to go around, And
we have to heavily rely, though. I mean, I agree with what you're saying, but at the same time, we talked about support in earlier episodes.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important to support your friends and to support your loved ones, because they're your first people to push your project or to share it
your
out.
Base.
Really. And if they're not willing to do it, it's a lot harder for you to get a stranger to do it as well. And, for those of you listening out there, if you got a friend that's putting out music, just share it, like it, give a little comment, push it.
Even if you don't like it, then jump in the comment, tell them why.
Help them, give them that honest criticism, because, or else how will they ever learn? Because like I said, they're their own best resource. We were talking before this, the whole idea of filmmaking. And one of the things I've built over the years is a network of people who are like-minded that like to create film projects. So with that, I'm able to make films a lot easier than I would if I had moved out of this town somewhere else. Yeah. And if I was to move hundreds of miles away, it would be a lot more challenging for me to create a film. So I would have to think outside the box, or possibly direct my creative endeavors into a different direction. I'd probably focus on something else that I can do solo, like maybe continue writing another book or other screenplays. But sometimes it's about the time being right. And I don't know, like, this time of year is very challenging, especially if you live in you know, anywhere in New York this time of year is freezing. The weather is out
Colder
of
climate.
control. Yeah. So, and also seasonal depression. It's
Yeah.
my own worst enemy. And so when you're dealing with your own resources, a podcast like this helps me focus on the positives and gets my mind flowing because, like, let's just face it, who wants to record in the middle of winter like a film outside? I mean, it's really not
It's almost
enjoyable.
undoable, man. It's
It's doable.
cold.
I've done it,
I
but
know it's cold. It's
it's
cold.
something that I don't even know how many projects where Benny and I were like in some like really questionable environments using some bubble gum and duct tape to like duct tape things together in horrible weather. So you just
Yeah.
never know what you're going to get into when it comes to this time of year.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
dealing with that seasonal depression and getting over it.
Yeah, the seasonal depression one hits hard too, because a couple months I'll be like, I'm doing this project, I'm doing good. Then the next month I'm like, I don't want to do this.
A lot of it too comes because a lot of people are feeling that same way I feel, and they're not giving that support.
Yeah.
And that's what it is too. Like, if you're not getting any sort of feedback, sometimes you got to be your own cheerleader. Like, I know why I'm doing this. And I think that's the question. You get excited in the moment and it doesn't get the turnout that you thought it would right away. And then you give up on it. And a lot of times, things I love to do this time of year, I find it's almost sad. Like, I find myself hard to push forward. Even though it's something I love to do. It's like, why am I doing this again? And you know, not even to get off topic, but it's true. It's
he's got to. Sometimes I think, like, even through those difficult times. I mean, sometimes I wonder if my seasonal depression is like where I have like good moments. I almost wonder if that's the only, like, my seasonal depression seems to be the majority. It's like, so it's like, I
that
don't
might
know,
be
man.
just depression.
Yeah, it probably is. And during the season, it just changes. But it feels like during those moments, like you were saying, man, like sometimes you just feel like, man, I don't really want to do this. It's like, I just believe if you kind of like stick it out a little bit, do it. You know what I mean? And then I think it does get better, and you start feeling better. Like you're glad you stuck with it. You know what I mean? So one of those things with, you kind of look back and be like, man, I'm glad I didn't quit that. You know what I mean? Think about the things in your life that you've accomplished because you didn't quit it. You know?
Oh, absolutely. This podcast in itself, people don't
Exactly.
realize that we all have our own internal shit going on.
Yeah.
And there's many times of a day or even conversations amongst us where we're like, dude, what are we doing? Like, are we really doing, like, it's a lot of effort to like come up with content and push it and promote it and get
Everybody
it out
get
there.
on the same page too. You know what I mean?
Get
It's
your
not an easy
schedules to align.
task.
So that in itself sometimes could be a nightmare. But you just got to realize, why are you doing it? And like, I know my reason, but you have to find that reason for yourself. And like I said, not trying to get too off topic, but that's the whole idea that I feel like there's some of the things that hold us back from using the resources we have, because, all of us have blessings, whether we want to believe them or not. They might be a friend of ours that supports our work. I don't know how many times we post these videos, and I'm seeing my buddy Chaz, biggest cheerleader we got, pushing, sharing. He has his own videos. So Chaz, if you see this, we love you.
Absolutely, man.
But he's always out there pushing our work, and that to me makes it worth it in the end, that someone's actually enjoying the content.
Absolutely.
And to me, he's a resource. He's helped promoting what we're working on. He's out there, connecting with it, and he's interacting. That's a resource, whether you believe it or not. And that's the things that I think we all need to focus on, is like, who do you have in your corner?
Yeah.
And sometimes the people that aren't in your corner are also resources of, things that you should avoid, I think.
Yeah.
The people that don't support you,
Yeah.
a lot of times those are the people that make you think, like, how can I change their mind? And, I can tell you right now, so many of my projects that I've put out over the years, even my writing, my work, I've gotten feedback from people who told me I've sucked in the past and said, listen, I wasn't expecting that, that this was an interesting turn of events, or they've given me compliments on something, that someone that I thought completely didn't acknowledge what I was doing, didn't support what I was doing, whatever. So you just never know in this field, because people forget that art is subjective, and not everyone is going to support what you do.
Absolutely.
And there's going to be a ton of people that talk shit, because now, like we said, we're on the, this digital age where anybody can jump online and roast you. But you just got to think about it. If there's 8 billion people in the world, there's a few people out there that are supporting you. Those are resources that I think we take for granted.
Absolutely, that's 100%, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got to cherish those that do support you, because I always look at as many people as that are gonna hate on you or not gonna love you or just don't like you at all. There's gonna be those people that do like you. They do love you and support you, and they're gonna push your things. And we do need to utilize those people, man. I mean, bottom line, man, we got to give them credit because they don't need to stay. I got this woman on my my Lantern Ministry page that I've never met her a day in my life. She's from Tennessee, and she's been supporting Lantern Ministry, all my music. I just sent her some albums. She's on here supporting this page. She shares everything. She sends me messages, you know what I mean? But it's like, some people, you don't realize how down at times, us as artists can really get. And those little things could be a whole fresh start for us. And it is for me. I'll speak for myself. But sometimes I'll be in the dumps. And then somebody will say something like, "Hey, how you doing? Looking forward to your next episode." And it just boomed, it motivates me, man, to want to jump right back in, and get my hands dirty.
That's what it is, dude. That's what it all is. And that's that's the type of motivation we need as artists. And I think that getting things done, like the name of the episode is like, something more. That's really what it's all about, is how you motivate yourself with what you have and how you can get it done. Just taking a couple steps back. Only a few years ago we were in COVID. Isn't it crazy to say it was a few years ago?
Yeah.
But I remember we had just finished Oath to Injustice, a feature film. I had it fully edited. I was ready to go, ready to premiere it. And then, international pandemic happens. So what do? We end up evolving the festival as something that was attainable because, the world was shut down. You couldn't hold a premiere at a movie theater at the time. So we kind of put the movie on hold for a little while so that we could have a realistic premiere if that day ever came. But we end up holding our international film festival, the Catskill International, virtually online to kind of do what we could for the moment, evolve to the times, and do what was possible in arm's reach. Because at the time we couldn't do an in-person event. It was illegal, or they were telling limited capacity. You rent out a venue and they would tell you can only have 20 seats in this 150 seat theater. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm paying, but the price is still the same though. You know what I mean? The price is still the same, but you want me to have a quarter or a 1/8 of the capacity. So we ended up doing it virtually, and it kind of changed the game at the time because it kept us in the radar, kept us relevant. And it was a resource I never thought I had through technology that we all now take for granted, but we don't realize how much we use it on a daily basis. So
I think there was a lot of artists created during COVID as well. Think about the amount of creative people that came out of, during the COVID era. A lot of people had nothing to do. They were sitting at home, nothing to do, and they got real creative. And you've seen it all over social media. All these different people jumping on, just becoming something that they might have never been. You know what I mean? They just started digging into themselves and creating all over. I mean, we got some crazy stuff during the COVID years, man.
You're not wrong about that.
Like, straight up. Yeah.
Being locked in the house for a long time can make you go crazy or
it's the truth, and people did the best, the best they could, I guess, with the time and what they had, and it's actually a good example. The whole COVID thing, our creativity as mankind, you know what I mean?
How it changed things. I mean, Benny, isn't that the time period where you started like diving a little bit head first into comedy?
It definitely was. I couldn't find anything at first, and it just kept going on my mind. I was like, well, I have that time now, and like, let's see what I can do. And I went for it, and it just helped me. And I was like, I love this. It's awesome. Like doing comedy. I feel so free when I do it. But I wanted to get out the house, and do
And I
something.
think that's like that little bit of insanity from COVID blent over to make you get on that stage for the first time.
Yes.
Just a little bit of insanity. And
Yeah,
talking about
nothing wrong with
comedians, we
that.
actually got one that we're about to bring on in a few minutes. Really excited about this episode. She's got a lot of things going on. Alex Paquin, all right? I don't want to get it wrong here. She's a writer, a comedian, a chef, a model, an actress, and the creator behind Our Body. Now, Our Body is a project about what happens when you stop overriding yourself and start listening to what the body is actually asking for. So without any further ado, let's give Alex a warm welcome.
Hello.
Hey, Alex.
Hi.
Yo,
Yes, hello. Hi, everybody.
yo.
So, like, beautiful right now. You feel majestic.
Oh yeah, super majestic. The lighting is majestic. You know, we're here. We're live. Well,
That's
now.
it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, and let us know what's going on. How are things going?
Yeah, so things are going really well for me. I'm home tonight and not, working, which is always a blast. I'm
Always a plus.
working on Our Body, and I'm actually gearing up to do my winter edition of the photo series in this project. It was going to be this past Saturday, but it's -5 here in Western Mass, so I was like, maybe not be naked in the woods right now.
A little cold.
But yeah, just a little cold. So we're going to be doing that next weekend, and we're just, excited for this next phase of the project.
Can you explain a little bit to people that might not really get a full grasp of what is Our Body? Can you just let the audience know?
Yeah, so Our Body is a multimedia sensory experience in the sense where, right now we're in phase 1, which is a series of different photo shoots, one for each season. And each photo shoot is me naked in the woods here in Western Massachusetts. And it's really just me stripping things completely down bare, no pun intended, and just existing in front of a camera in the woods. Like for the last 2 years, I've been doing stand-up and acting and writing plays and doing all of these things so much. And now with this project, I'm in a new phase of my life where I'm like, okay, I can still create art that I'm passionate about, and I still have an audience, but I can also do it from the comfort of my own bed and like an hour photo shoot in the woods. And it's ongoing. But that is Our Body as of right now.
Wow. I mean, it's interesting that you say that, because I feel like doing something that you have to have a lot of you're putting your vulnerability out there. But how has this art, would you say, changed your own relationship with your body?
So it's interesting, and I'll take you back to the beginning. So the photographer that I'm working with, her name is Karen Teresa. She's based here in Western Mass, and she has a beautiful Instagram where she does this photography. Like I have my own series, but this is her work. And for 2 years, I was like, I would love to be a part of this, but I am way too scared to be completely naked in the woods. And recently I was booking people to like donate for a fundraiser for comedy. And I reached out to Karen to see if she wanted to get involved. And this was back in April. And at that point, I was like, why not bite the bullet and book myself a photo shoot? I feel like if there was ever a time to be confident with my own body, it was now. And I booked it, and I was like, it'll be at the end of August. I can't get scared. It's already paid for. I just have to do it. And the most important part of this whole sequence for me is I was doing roast battle comedy at the time. And with roasting, there's like low-hanging fruit. And the low-hanging fruit for me is like, people will make fun of me being fat, right? It's like the very obvious thing about me. And so part of this photo shoot was, if I agree to have my photos public, then it would be, $200 less. And I don't know about you guys, but I love a discount. So of
Don't
course
we
these
all?
photos, right? Of course these photos are coming out, and I'm like, oh shit, like these are going to be public, and I'm doing roast battle comedy at the same time. Like someone is going to find these photos and use them against me. And it was at that point where I was like, why not just get ahead of the narrative and just like put it all out there? And if they see the photos and use it as jokes, that, like maybe I've already beat them to the punch. And it wasn't until I saw the first photos where I was like, oh, like that is me. I had never really thought of myself as somebody who could be like majestic or ethereal or beautiful out in the woods. And it really changed my perspective because it was literally just me, no makeup, just naked. And it was as simple as could be. And I don't know, after 30 years of trying to convince myself that I was happy and loving myself, it was the series of photos where I was like, that's me. And I love that. And it's so
Oh.
simple. So, in terms of how I feel now, I never feel uncomfortable around people anymore because it's like I'm bare naked on the internet. So
You ever heard that
what-
story? Not to interject, but you ever feel like
Yeah.
that way? Like, I was talking about Benny with the whole
Mhm.
getting on stage for the first time as a comedian. And
Yeah.
I'm like, the only thing I would do is they always tell you to look into the audience and imagine everyone naked, so that it doesn't,
exactly.
lessens the blow.
Yes, I definitely know that. And then
What
you
kind
realize
of-
you see the guys and you're like, I don't know if I want to imagine that.
Yeah. What kind of fears do you have? Like, obviously that's, it takes a lot of confidence to
Mhm.
get on stage, to get naked in the woods. What kind
Yeah.
of fears? I mean, you gotta have a lot of confidence. What built that kind of confidence to be able to do that?
Yeah, I
mean,
mean,
really.
I had quite a few fears. I think my main one is that people wouldn't like me or wouldn't like what I was doing. For example, I took about 10 years off from making anything creative. I'd always considered myself like a creative kid, and I went to school for writing. I thought I was going to write fiction novels, and I spent 3 months at a writer's retreat, and they kind of tore me to shreds, and it really killed my confidence in myself. And I was just like, I don't know if I'm even a good writer, let alone if I could make a living off of writing. And that, I came home and got into kitchens, and it just went away. And so, you guys were talking about the pandemic, and, as I was sitting on the couch watching the sun rise and set, I started to realize that I didn't have any hobbies. I was just working all the time. So I would say recently, in the past few years, my biggest fear now is not producing anything, like not creating or not performing. I almost feel like a shark where I like have to keep going at all times, because if I'm not creating something, I lose myself. And I feel like I'm just another corporate drone trying to get the job done and like not actually living in my body. So when it comes to, fears around this project, I really don't have any. My mom is very worried that somebody's gonna like find me and try to harm me, which is a real fear. I respect that, but I don't know. I just really don't see that happening. And, like even with my job, I don't have any fear with that because there's no reason for it to cross over. So yeah, I'm feeling more fearless these days.
That's an intense thing. That's a very intense thing that you brought up because, when you talk about someone trying to find you, and nowadays with a lot of people being exploited on the internet and whatnot, or their stuff is used like without your knowing, like people could save your photos and sell them or whatever. And my big thing is like, how do you differentiate nudity from sexualization of your work? Or is that the intention also to be a provocateur of some sort?
It's funny because for me, and maybe this is just me, I really love going to museums. And I'm not saying I'm the only person who loves museums. That's not what I'm saying. But I consider this project like stumbling upon a nude painting or a nude sculpture at a museum. You know, it's like I personally wouldn't necessarily sexualize it, but art is so subjective. I can't stop people from doing that. You know, like anybody could sexualize anything. This cup could be sexualized. So for me, I release all control for that. You know, I'll engage with people if they want to talk about it and, you know, make their own assumptions, but I have no plans in trying to argue with people about it. You know, for me, like, yes, I'm naked, but this project isn't about arousal or like, you know, wanting to sleep with other people. It's really just me saying, like, how about I do the thing that nobody expects me to do? You know, like I have a reputation for comedy. So when I erased all of my comedy stuff on social media and it was just naked pictures, I was like, well, this is it. And, you know, however people take it, that's how they will. So
It takes an open mind to do, and like a lot of respect to you, because I don't know if I would do that. It could be like, I'm just thinking about it like, damn, that's
Yeah.
gotta be, that's really difficult to do. And just be like, hey, have your opinion on it, and I'm gonna be an open-minded artist and let you critique my work.
Yeah.
Have you ever done projects like this before, or
Kind of, you know, like I never nude, never photography, but writing is something that I am very familiar with. And an iteration of the show that I'm working on it would be a one-woman show. And I've done 2 of those in the past. And with my one-woman shows, they're always specifically about a very personal moment for me. It doesn't necessarily need to be like a dramatic kind of sad thing, but it's like something that I needed to process with me alone on stage. And I love to create my own world in that sense. What was your question again?
have you done a project like this before?
Yes.
Yeah.
So partially, you know, I like the elements of the photography because it adds something new. It adds a new challenge. So if this does become Our Body, the stage play, I plan on recreating my bedroom. And like, you know, the photos that you see in this project will be on the walls, or maybe it's the calendar, or, you know, it's like a framed photo in the apartment, kind of like, you know, my presence is there, kind of Big Brother is always watching as people come in and experience it as they will. Because I feel like with this project specifically, it's so personal to each viewer. It's mostly on your phone. And I feel like a lot of people who are following me are like, oh, this is Alex. So I like the idea of taking what I've already done and challenging it to do something that might have scared me in the past.
See, that's interesting that you brought that up, because it's like you use something that was like a limited resource type thing, like where you did a photo shoot in the woods, and now you're advancing it to an entire stage play.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Have you ever, you know, you said you've done 2 shows now. Now, how has the audience reacted to the shows, and like the feedback that you received from the audience? Was it like positive reception or a mix, or?
Yes. So the first show was very special to me. I got it through a residency that I had applied for, and the entire show was improvised because I came up through storytelling stand-up. So, you know, you have your point that you have to get to, and you get there. And that was the biggest performance I'd had in my career. Like I could have paid rent with the ticket sales that I earned with that show. So that was huge for me. And I got a lot of positive feedback. And what was really special to me is people came up to me and shared their stories that were similar to what I had been performing. And my first show is called Falling in Love During a Pandemic and Waking Up in Reality. And that's exactly what I did. I met somebody on Tinder during the pandemic. We fell in love and moved in together, and, you know, chaos ensued from there. So it started by telling the story in bars, and then eventually on the stage. And the entire way through, it was just connecting with people that I'd never really spoken to before. And now The same people who have been following me for the past few years, they really support this new project as well. And I was actually speaking to somebody the other day who's been really close to all of this, and he says, you know, he doesn't necessarily see the comedian in my art anymore, but he sees the evolution of it, and he still sees me in there. And I find that really important, because I couldn't pay somebody to say that, you know, like,
Yeah.
I love that I can change and still be seen by the people who understand what I'm doing. So
There's so many different sides to people, though. That's the great thing about it as an
Mhm.
artist, is I can't stand when, you know, you can't I guess say what an audience views you as, but when
Mhm.
they put you in a box of what you're supposed to be forever. And I see that
Yeah.
with like big time artists like Adam Sandler or Jim Carrey, who have
Mhm.
succeeded in dramatic roles, but they're put in this box that, oh, you're the funny guy. You can't
Right.
be serious. And I've heard it
Mhm.
myself with my material, that, you know, the films I write are dirty and dark and violent.
Mhm.
But it's so special when you get those people that either doubted you or put you in that box to see you as something different. I know, it's special.
Yeah.
It's got that
Yeah.
special moment.
Yeah, it's your little moment of comeuppance. It's like, see, you don't control what I do. I am in control of that, and you're just over there watching, I guess.
It's
that
like
whole power
it's like being in class and they're like, you're the class clown, and then 10 years later you're like this professional, super serious person. You're like, oh, you grew up.
Yeah, yeah, and you know it's funny too, because right now I'm on hiatus from stand up, just because, again, like with the whole start of this project, I didn't want to be juggling too many things all at once. There has been some assumption that I've quit comedy and that I'm not doing it anymore, and it's like, nope, I never actually said that. I'm focusing on one specific thing, and I didn't forget how to make people laugh. I just want to do this, and it's still there. You know, the pot is still on the stove, but I find that very freeing in this kind of version of my life right now. Is like, if I decide I want to do something, I'm just going to do it. And if it takes me a long time, it takes me a long time. I don't answer to anybody right now, which I'm really grateful for. So, you know, we're just winging it.
I feel like it's a powerful place to be. You're in a powerful moment right now.
Thank
Anybody
you.
ever seen the movie 8 Mile? And you
Yeah.
know, when
Yes, a long time ago.
when he gets up on stage at the end and he goes and tells his whole life story, so they don't have anything on him. I mean, if you're out
Yeah.
there bearing it all, what can
Mhm.
they possibly say? I mean, I'm pretty sure right now, with all the content that you've put out
Mhm.
there, that you have probably the most unique DMs I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the one that
Right
surprises
there,
me
you
the
got
most is the
comedy.
venting.
You got
Yeah.
comedy.
Yes. Always. There's always comedy in everything. Absolutely. I've been surprised the most by the venting. A lot of people will take the time to like confess a lot of heavy stuff because they resonate with what I'm writing, which is so profound to me because it's like underneath like tits at the same time.
And do you
Which,
believe it?
do I believe it? Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
sometimes I feel like venting is a way to get their way in the door. I feel like
I
some
can see
people,
that.
I don't trust their intentions. I always, you know, like for example, with I'm not showing my, you know, anything, but at the same time, if you have a place of power, which right now you're putting out content, anything like that, I feel like is a place of power. But when I do projects and stuff, I'll get reached out to by people that want to like open up about their whole life story,
Mhm.
and at the end they're like, "Remember me at your next project, or give me a content." You know,
Yeah.
so it's an interesting place to be right now.
Yes. Yeah. I don't get that. There have been a few brave souls who are like, want to hook up? And I'm like, no, thank you for that very romantic suggestion. But no, I appreciate it.
Right after
You
telling them
know,
about grandma in the hospital, they're like, "Oh, grandma's in the
yeah,
hospital.
exactly.
By the
Yeah.
way, you're looking good." That's what they.
Exactly. Right. And I'm like, oof, the timing. I have gotten a lot better and like not completely sitting in the muck with everybody. You know, like I understand you want to have that connection and you want to feel valid in the moment. But like at the same time, like I'm not a therapist. I'm just doing my thing. I'm glad that it resonated with you so deeply, but at the same time, like peace and love, I gotta keep moving on. Because you guys were talking about depression earlier. Like mine is perennial. It's like a constant thing, and I'm not having a depressive episode right now, but it's something that is a part of my life. It's chronic. I'm not like on a moment's edge of being depressed, but I know what'll make me feel that way.
Trauma dump. People don't realize that trauma dumping is, it's kind of like an anchor on a lot of people. You ever have that one friend that every time that you see them, they're like, they just dump the world on your shoulders.
Yes, absolutely.
I guess that's why we all do art, is to get our minds straight, so we're not, all doing that to other people. We just put it in our art.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm gonna put this out there. Sorry if it offends you, but I'm not really sorry at the end of the day.
All my trauma's in my head.
Gotta write jokes.
There was something interesting you were saying, how you were saying you went from writing the script and doing the pictures to possibly doing like a calendar to getting it on stage. So was that your original plan? Did you plan that out, or did you start doing compromises and saying, oh, that works?
So not necessarily compromises. So I did my first photo session, which was summer, and I started getting these ads on Facebook for Northampton Open Media. It's based in Northampton here in Massachusetts, and they were offering grants for about $2,000 to people, and it had its requirements. And I was just like, well, what if I tried to apply for this grant and, evolve the project? And I'm just constantly thinking about things at all times. So it was like, well, what if I do a one-woman show, and how would I incorporate that with the photos? So Mass Mocha is a museum out here in Western Mass. And recently they had this plastic bag grocery store exhibit where you went into this grocery store and everything was made out of recycled plastic. And it was telling the story of, us destroying the planet with plastic. Very straightforward, but it was so interactive and you could touch everything. All of a sudden I said, well, what if I kind of did a similar experience where I bring people into my home, because it always feels like I'm doing that with my shows. Like I'm sitting on the couch with you telling you about my life. And what if they could touch things in the apartment? And what if they saw the photos that they had been following along? And I decided I wanted to do prints because part of the grant is working with Northampton businesses, and there's a great print shop. So I'm like, what if I printed a magazine? And it's really just my mind spinning from the possibility of getting this grant. So when it came time to apply for the grant, I went down to Northampton and we were in a church, and I blew up my nude on the wall, and I was like, here's my project and why you should believe in me and give me some money. And they did. And they totally did. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm super grateful for that. And what the craziest thing to me is somebody on the panel for that is a comedian that I know. Like we've worked together. And when I saw him, I was like, oh my God, like
networking
I have to do this. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, whoa, thank God we have a good relationship. Like he doesn't hate me. Great. But it just felt really good for people to believe in it, because I knew what I wanted. I had like a start and an end, but the middle was a little foggy, and they trusted me to complete this project. So now all of the photos are paid for because of this grant, and I own them now. And that's something that I worked out with my photographer, Karen. So it's just like, yeah, exactly. And none of this was really planned. Yeah, it's just me taking it day by day and being like, well, what could I do next? And that's where we're at now. So
absolutely. I was kind of like, I was trying to talk and obviously something happened on my phone, but I do music. You know, Charlie right there, he does, you know, movies and writes
Yeah.
books, and you know, Benny does comedy. And what we all have stories we're telling through our music, movies, comedy. What story are you trying to tell with the art form that you create?
For me,
Yes.
my story is that, you know, you can come from really, am I allowed to like swear
Yeah, you can
Go
do
for
on
whatever.
it.
here? Okay.
Yeah.
It's like you can come from really fucked up, dark shit growing up and feeling like you have absolutely no control. And, you know, instead of just accepting that or pushing on to the next thing to distract yourself, it's like really sit in how that makes you feel. You know, how does your body respond? How is your heart reacting when things are happening? You know, how do people make you feel? Do you have hobbies? And taking that and just expanding that. You know, we talk about life is so short. Well, I want this story to end in a way where you know that you were doing exactly what you wanted to do and nothing stopped you. You know, like, of course, safety and treating people kindly and, you know, respectfully is important. But like, I am somebody who lived to serve for about 28 years. And one day I was just like, well, what if I just served myself just to see what would happen? And it turns out like I'm still exactly who I am. And, you know, the relationships that I have are stronger than ever. And I'm creating things and I'm successful in my career. And I'm finally at a point where I'm not pushing myself to produce something for someone all the time. You know, like I love this project because an hour in the woods in front of a camera and, you know, like hours here and there in bed posting. And that's what it is. So that's my that's my long-winded story.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's
Yeah.
Oh
good.
no,
As
it's
long as you're not
empowering.
getting served court papers.
Yeah, no court papers.
Yeah.
Nothing there. Just free the nipple, you know, live your life. And you know, the thing about it is like part of this work is also to promote Karen Teresa. You know, like I'm just one person she's worked with. She has worked with hundreds of people at this point.
Yeah.
Naked in the woods, just totally comfortable. It's like I understand everybody has their feelings about being nude, but even if I wasn't publicizing this project, like I still have these portraits that I'm so proud of that I love so much. And like no one would have to see them. They exist. And that's what's
Yeah.
important. But like anybody could do it.
Yeah.
It's
Because
interesting
it's
that you brought
important
that
to
up
you.
because
Mhm.
there's such as taboo with any sort of nudity or content
Yeah.
that might be risque. And I noticed that you posted a bunch of stuff regarding, you know, censorship. It's
Mhm.
important that we bring that up because we're in 2026 and something as simple as a picture is getting people's accounts taken down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fierce. So today is actually day 2 of being out of Instagram jail for me. So it's been great, very freeing. So I had like a one-off workshop show of our body back in November, and I rebuilt the woods on stage. I was in my pajamas, and I was just talking for like an hour. And so when it came time to do flyers, I started to push that out on social media. I boosted it on Instagram, and there's no nipples or crack or any genitalia involved, but Instagram flagged it as basically that I was inviting people to come have sex at a bar in middle of nowhere, Massachusetts, which I wasn't, you know, and it was like immediately I couldn't boost anything. I couldn't send messages for a week, you know, like I couldn't comment on stuff. And it was like, I have seen so many horrible, disturbing things on Instagram. And it's
Yeah.
like, so my nipple is showing. Okay.
Yeah.
I am not a danger to the app.
Yeah.
You know, like if we want to make it so it's age verified, fantastic. Let's do that. Let's keep the people who don't need to be here, keep them over there in minor land, and adults with eyes can mind their business. And it's like, I'm not trying to, do anything weird or fucked up. It's just like, I would like to respect my space and my time and understand that I'm not here to harm people with it. And the censorship has been on my mind recently because of, everything that's going on with ICE in this country. And I've seen a lot of reporters being censored, and it's like, it makes me think, like, if like Don Lemon is being arrested, like, what's going on with my nipples here on Instagram? Like, is it what, like, where are we at with censorship? And a joke that I have with my friends, I don't know if you're familiar with Bert Kreischer. He's a comedian. So his whole thing is being fat and shirtless, and like his tits are just as big as mine. And like he literally has a promo video for his tour where he's shirtless in the river, and he has millions of views. And I'm like, what? Why can't I be shirtless in the river? It's just like so fucked.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's like, well, he has all this capital and all of this chutzpah, whatever, and I'm just some schmo, tits out at a creek. So it's just, that's what it made me create my website. Is like, okay, well, if I get kicked off Instagram, at least I have this website that will protect me.
It's important
and it's
to
already
always have that
established.
website. It's very important to have a website, because you never know at any given time the social medias could kick you off for whatever reason. We've seen that in this country. We talk about COVID. When we went back to that time, there was a whole lot of censorship and misguided information, where basically if they didn't like your point of view, they just blocked it from being seen. And it's
exactly.
And these politicized type things, it's unfortunate. So that's why you got to have your own domains. You got to really push them. And that's a resource. We're talking about those resources. You got to have those resources of yourself, because utilize them as tools, but
Yeah. And of course, this project was not meant to be political in any way, but it is. And I'm writing that because, like, I am not somebody who leans first with politics. But I had that moment where I was like, oh, okay, like fat, woman, queer, racially ambiguous. I'm playing a lot of different cards here, very political. So I'm just like, okay, yeah, if that's what you need me to be, then so be it. Like, I'm not going to be putting my body out there like a pawn physically. Like, you won't catch me like at a protest, because I just don't feel comfortable and safe doing that. But like, if you want to create something in your head based off of an image, so be it.
That's all you can do. Art is subjective, and let them, what they say is sometimes bad publicity is also good publicity. Use that to your advantage to get some views and to get some comments, because it'll help ultimately boost your work, I think. And it's exciting. I think it's exciting what you're doing. And
thank you.
It's a breath of fresh air that we need more people to kind of confront the censorship that's happening.
I agree.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's crazy. There's no parameters. Because
we see murder online.
Exactly. And here's the thing about Instagram. So when they flag you, you can appeal it, but you can't actually speak for yourself. You just press a button that says appeal, and you hope and wish that they like understand your point. And it's like, okay.
And do you really believe that on the other side of it, there's a human being? It's probably
not at
some
all.
Computer generated software responding.
Yeah, because I've learned that like it's not always somebody reporting you. Like, it is actual AI that is in Instagram that is constantly monitoring like how much skin is being exposed or what keywords are being said, So like, I don't give any weight to that. Maybe somebody reported it. I don't care. I just know that there are forces on Instagram constantly monitoring everything.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
I have an interesting question I'd like to ask, is to interject, because we're talking about AI, but I want to talk about real people too.
Yeah.
Have you ever changed someone's perspective on their own body that surprised you from your work?
Yes. Yeah. I actually had a really incredible conversation with my mom. And we were estranged for almost 2 years when this project had started. And we had recently reconnected over Christmas, and we talked about the project. It's kind of an elephant in the room. And she spoke to me about how she feels about her body has changed since reading what I've written and seeing the photos connected to it. You know, like she's somebody who used to be very reserved and closed off. And like she said, you know, she's hated her own body. And then she also had a lot of guilt of how she projected that onto me as a kid. And she had said, you know, like it made me really confront that and ask myself why I felt that way. And I felt so terrible about myself. Like if my own daughter can get to this point where she reconciles and confronts these feelings and still loves herself at the end, like why can't I do that? And it was something I wasn't expecting, because I was really just wondering if she was going to think it was weird or like didn't want to see it or anything like that. But I don't know, like that's woman number one that gave me any perspective about being a woman in general. So to like have that full circle moment, that to know that she had changed the way she thought about herself, it was, I don't know, it was just crazy. It was, if you had told me that that would have happened while I was like booking the photo shoot, I wouldn't have believed it. But it's actually made our relationship stronger.
Wow.
It's the most
Yeah.
important, you know.
Yeah. Mhm.
Family, that's number
Absolutely.
one.
Yeah. And that's my ride or die, you know?
That's it.
Absolutely.
So before we go too long, because we're now at the hour mark, I just want to hit you with this one last question. If you guys have anything else you want to add, but I was just going to say, what is next?
So what is next is the play that I'd shelved this fall. I was supposed to direct a play called The Things I Do for Love, and that was going to be my next project. So I'm going to bring that back out. The script is finished, and right now my goal is it's a table read with some actors. But other than that, in March, I hear if I got this other grant. And if I did, I'm going to jump into filming. So that's where I'm at right
Awesome.
now.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank
good
you.
luck with that. That's exciting.
For sure.
Yeah, thank you.
I would like to say it was nice working with you. You're a very
Yeah.
nice person, very kind, and I hope your heart and your art continue to evolve.
Thank you.
I would love to
Thank
see
you.
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep doing what you're doing, you know. Don't let anybody put any kind of roadblocks in your way. If they do, just
That's
push them
right.
right over. Absolutely.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
good meeting you.
Yeah, absolutely. This was great. And thanks for having me so much. It was a blast.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. We'll be talking soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good night.
Peace.
All right. You too.
All right, guys.
right.
So we got another episode on the way. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Alex was a blast. Episode 5 coming at you. What do we got, Benny?
Episode 5, I believe it's what is art?
Absolutely.
What is art? What is art? So I hope to see you guys next week. And always remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share if you care.
Absolutely.
Dive in.